Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ruffle and today we're going to be diving into a bit of a heavy analysis and breakdown on some of the secret things we missed in the recent trailers of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, as well as cultural things about the region and what might be there or what might not be there, as well as some recent leaks, news, and everything. This is going to be a big video, so sit back, relax, and let's jump into all the secrets you may have missed in this big analysis. So let's get started. So first of all, here's the comment of the day from our last video. Thank you again so much for that comment, mate. I really appreciate it. And our new question of the day, ladies and gents, is what is the next game you want to see? Do you want to see a Johto type game? Do you want to see a different sort of game? Let us know in the comment section down below. I want to know your thoughts and opinions, and in general, let us know. Now let's get into the information. First thing we're going to start off is these two images that popped up that show what seems to be some form of a leaked image of gameplay from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, on the left side of the first image, it shows Fuecoco, and then on the right side, some sort of new crab-looking Pokemon or scorpion-looking Pokemon of sorts. And what's really just strange about these two, I mean, I'm gonna be honest and just say that I think these are fake, but we're gonna break down the images because there is a second image that's more of a close-up of the actual scorpion. But let's actually break them down and talk about what we see here. First and foremost, the actual scorpion itself. Now, according to Eclipse, he was able to, I guess, kind of translate the Japanese name of it, and it came out to being called Arakujin, which is mixing the words of Aladdin plus Arachnid plus Jin, and he assumed that it might be a steel fire type just based on the colors, and that its concept is based on Cataplana Jin Scorpion. So Cataplana being a cooking item used to prepare Portuguese seafood dishes, and then Jin, which is an intelligent like Arabian or Muslim spirit of a lower rank and able to appear in essentially human or animal forms, and also possible for them to possess humans. Now, I'm going to be honest, the actual thing that makes me think that this is definitely a fake image and nothing is real about this has got to be the fact that the camera view looks like the static one that we see when we play Pokemon like old games, like everything before Legends Arceus. If you guys know what I'm talking about, it's when the camera moves on its own rather than you being able to have that freedom to move the camera during battle like you do in Legends, which it is possible that might be returning, but based on the stuff we've seen on the actual trailer, it looks like we will have like that same freedom, I'm hoping that we had in Legends Arceus. But if not, then this one could still be legitimate. But I'm gonna be honest, I think it is fake. I'd love to know you guys' thoughts and opinions though. Now, the main reason that he like points out here, he just says like the name of the translation is from the picture, everything else is just an ID on what it could be based on, as well as the typing. People must get informed properly on what they're seeing. Also said it's fake in the previous tweet, multiple reasons. I hardly see this as a beta leak. The main reason is the display menu that doesn't present the right proportion nor the same design for the enemy and ally Pokemon, and the camera seems fixed too, while we already know it's free and more. And that's what I just mentioned as well. Like we see from the actual website, when they show footage of like, you know, the characters, it looks like you have freedom to move the camera around as you wish, right? The same way you do with Legends. So I think we can pretty much confirm this one as fake. But that was one of the first things. Next, we want to talk about actually a great analysis, a heavy analysis by someone by the name of Key Inevitable. An individual who's actually posted about other things as well. His name is Alex Cabellos de Toribio, and he is actually, I think he is Spanish of origin, and he lives there. And he actually went into some of the things that you should kind of note about, specifically them basing a region about Spain. So we're going to go a bit of a heavy deep dive on this one, guys, because it's a long post, and there's a lot of information here which might be a little bit more extreme and not as, like, you know, fun and, you know, goofy to play around with. But I'm going to point something out. When it comes to Pokemon games, they oftentimes seem to just kind of go balls deep and shit, and they don't really care about if they're sensitive or not to cultures and stuff. It just feels like that, at least to most times with Pokemon games, but we'll have to wait and see. But he starts off with this Spanish identity crisis. Now, Spain is a country which has been poblated, colonized, invaded, conquered, and reconquered many times during our history. The Iberian Peninsula was, in fact, a land bridge used by the first human beings to set first foot on Europe. Iberians, Greeks, Romans, Celts, Tartessians, Carthaginians, Celtic Iberians, Phoenicians, and Basques were the oldest cultures in the peninsula. The Muslims conquered the peninsula and ruled over it for about a whole millennia. During the Reconquista, the Christians took back the Muslim kingdoms and and reconquered Spain. The Italian Christopher Columbus discovered the Indies, or South America, through the Spanish Queen's patronage and started the most dark and shameful period in our history. Not so long ago, we were under a dictatorship and a civil war. The nationalism during the no-no government took the disgusting conqueror role of our country and basically established it as their identity and glorified it, while erasing our true culture, which came from the working class and the opposite, people and the minorities, essentially. The whole flamenco culture came from the Romani people who inhabited the peninsula. So what he's trying to say here is that the general, Spain in itself does have a little bit, of an identity crisis, because most of the country is split into different, almost cantons or, individual areas, essentially, with all different cultures and different ways of viewing life and everything. It's really strange to kind of talk about this because they're so different, each one of them. So yeah, it is what it is, but we continue on though. So, here we go, a political map of Spain to back up my explanation. Note, the Canary Islands are far to the south in the left side in Africa, and I'm actually going to be going to the Canary Islands next week, so that's going to be fun. But either way, so Spanish territory is divided in autonomous communities, which are subdivided into provinces. The official capital of Spain is Madrid. Now, every autonomous community has one of their own province as their capital, and every province has their own, own capital in a sense. Now, they also have, every autonomous community has their own culture and often folklore. By the very nature of this distribution and the sheer amount of communities, it's impossible to represent every single one of them. So it's far more likely that Game Freak is going to pick the most appealing ones and mash them up in a single city. The most important and famous cities in Spain are Madrid, Barcelona, Valencia, and Sevilla. So they're going to be basing most likely some areas on those places. And we do know that Barcelona is the one that Junichi Masuda and Omori were visiting the most and seem to be most interested in, as well as parts of Portugal, which I think is going to be included as well. Okay, I think Portugal is going to be included here as well. But we'll continue on though. The Barcelona-like city. While Madrid is the official capital of Spain, Barcelona has a stronger aesthetic identity and it's more famous overseas. On top of that, it's the most visited place of Spain by Junichi Masuda and Shigeru Omori. So it's highly likely Barcelona is the capital and most emblematic city of the new region. It's important to remark that even when the castle-like building and the plaza surrounding it are based on the Sagrada Familia, the overall architectural style of Antonio Gaudí, there are some elements which resemble Plaza Mayor in Madrid, so maybe Madrid is mixed up with Barcelona. They end up making a single big city out of the two of them rather than making two separate ones. Now, the inverted map theory and why it's wrong. The Pokemon counterpart to the real world, places on which they are based on, are never one-to-one location-wise. So, with the previous statement about the mashed-up provinces and this one in mind, it's pretty obvious that Barcelona-like city would be located at the top right corner of Spain, with the Pyrenees, the mountain range, which works as a natural frontier between Spain and France, behind it. As we can see, there is a pretty big mountain behind the city, which is true. There is a massive mountain right behind it, so it could literally be that. The Barcelona-like city, note the mountain range behind it in the right side, and also behind it in general, you can see there in the distance. But there you go. If you actually compare the actual square, you can see it just looks like the square in Madrid. So, comparison between the buildings surrounding the plaza and the Plaza Mayor in Madrid, note also the outdoor cafeteria tables, which yes, it's all there. It looks just the same. Now, there is a version like here right now. There is somebody that actually made, a shout out to Mastered Realm, who actually put together a map that is he literally recreated the map from the trailer to show what it could look like. And he just goes in here and says that the left upper corner of Spain is pretty much rainy and humid, so the big lake area makes sense. Also, the lower right corner is the driest part of the peninsula where Tabernas Desert is located. But also keep in mind that we do have Portugal most likely represented in here as well, I would argue, based on a few different things. One of these things, I'm going to tell you right now, is actually something that was found by Obrigada Jim, who says that basically he found that during the Pokemon, specifically during a Pokemon music video for the opening theme of Poke Ami or Poke Anime, the actual area appears to be Portugal, specifically Castelo de la São Jorge in Lisbon, which is the reference to maybe possibly Gen 9. But it's interesting because the actual image used in the background for this, music video, which by the way, there's a Pokemon music video, the actual background used for the green screen in this case, according to this man named Danny on Twitter, he said, fun fact, the photo used in the video clip's green screen was taken when Masuda and Omori were here in 2016. And honestly, that is enough of proof to me to just say that it could be that we're getting Portugal included here as well. And he says, are really amazing, so references they are leaving us, and yeah, there we go. So I do think that's going to be included as well, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, I think that we're going to be getting a part of each one of them represented. He also did point out that also the lower right corner is actually the driest part to the peninsula, which is maybe the desert we saw from the trailer, where Tabernas Desert is located. So the Tabernas Desert is going to be represented in form of the desert we got to see in the actual trailer. So there you go. We continue on though. So he does also point out here that if you're going to be basing stuff on, you know, Fakemon and stuff like that, if there are people that are going to be making them, that there are a few things to keep in mind in certain Pokemon that may not make a lot of sense. For example, he says that you shouldn't really be mixing up Hispanic and Spanish culture due to the Spanish conquest and colonization. Some aspects of their culture blend together or were imposed on the natives there, but they are not the same. They deserve their own representation and respect and acknowledgement of their identity. And a couple of references are some good things possibly to do because, you know, many of the things they do have are somewhat similar, like for example specific vegetable types which were brought from there. So also avoiding to use the conqueror imagery, so maybe avoiding possibly making, you know, a evolution for a Pokemon look like Christopher Columbus or something like that. But yeah, so he continues also on saying to avoid eagle imagery because that's part of the no-no thingy, so let's just not include that. Be careful with the portrayal of bullfighting. This is one that a lot of people I think do want to see, like some sort of bull Pokemon, or at least Tauros getting a new form. Possibly, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if really that's something that Game Freak would want to do, but then again, they are making a whole game about literally animals fighting each other, so I don't think they're too, you know, too high and above not including a bullfighting Pokemon, so I'm gonna be honest, I think they will still do it. Now, before inspiring designs in folklore things like musketeers, Puss in Boots, etc., research about their origin, those are not from Spain, according to our boy here. Have in mind also, like, you know, that there is a lot of weird stuff. If you're gonna talk about religion and stuff, it's gonna be very difficult to just jump into it. But it also mentions, what about Portugal? Well, we had no direct confirmation about the region, including the whole peninsula, Spain and Portugal. Even if it's in the game map, it seems to include it. The trailer's live action segment, it's behind some papers. All the in-game footage is Spain-based, nothing recognizable from Portugal so far. Also, Pokemon is not localized in Portuguese yet. Maybe they reveal the first ever Portuguese localization with the next update in Portugal-based in-game footage, which could be possible. Now, what we could expect, this is actually things that could happen, is this. What we can expect, some Viking and Celtic-like designs for the North, as they were closely related. This would actually be really cool if they did include some Viking stuff, and possibly that could be a hint towards some future region, maybe somewhere in the North. Some Hispanic and Spanish vegetables, notable mentions to tomatoes, potatoes, and coffee beans. There is a festival where people throw tomatoes to each other called Tomatina, so maybe tomatoes have extra points, which actually could be fair enough. Pokemon with flower motifs, as theirs are more likely to appear in the region. Their national flower is the Canossians. Do not ask him why, because for some reason Roselia has a big Spanish vibe to him, so maybe a new form of specifically Roselia could happen. Now, when theorizing about the starters, got to look a little info about them. Quaxley is the earnest and tidy Pokemon. Fuecoco does things at its own pace, and Sprigatito is a capricious and attention-seeking Pokemon. Since Fuecoco looks like the Dia de los Muertos mask, Katrina, a ghost pepper and a dragon, it's probably a reference to the resources we import from the Americas. The peppers are really common in Mediterranean and especially in Spanish gastronomy, but they were brought to Europe from Mexico. Maybe Hispanic Fuecoco, Spanish Sprigatito, and Portuguese Quaxley. Research about the local and endemic fauna, my bet is in Sprigatito evolving into an Iberian lynx flamenco dancer. And yeah, we do not have crocodiles. Research about emblematic elements of the Spanish culture, like for example Don Quixote. So, just so you know, the whole point of Don Quixote was him being a crazy old man who thought he was a mighty knight. The windmills he fought thinking they were giants are common from Castilla de la Mancha in the center of the peninsula, but in the trailer those windmills seem to be all around the map, so maybe they're not gonna do it one-to-one here. So here we go. And also, these points out, since there's lots of things based on Antonio Gaudi's style, and Game Freak CEOs seem to be obsessed with Barcelona, there might be loads of stuff like this happening, you know, like this guy right here, the Parc Güell Dragon Fountain, so maybe a dragon fountain based Pokemon, which I wonder how that would look like. And then also he points out as well, that one of the most important and first cave painting discovered in Europe are the ones from the caves of Altamira, so maybe possibly a new cave painting Pokemon or a regional Yamask. I'm personally think there might be a regional version or even like a cave, or not cave, well I guess a almost, how would you even say it, ancient version or something like that along those lines of maybe a Tauros or possibly some fossil Pokemon based specifically on this. The tale of also Saint George and the Dragon is a very famous one in Spain, specifically in Barcelona, where he goes by the name of Sant Jordi. A knight rescues a princess from a dragon. Roses sprout from the blood of the beast, and he gave one to the princess. The day of Sant Jordi, girls give a book as a present to boys, and those give them back a rose in exchange. So maybe possibly something based on that, some sort of Fakemon or, you know, ID you guys might have, you can post out there. But always remember the patterns. First root mammal, first root bird, first root bug, Pika clone, and possibly the new one could be a, you know, a Galarian Zigzagoon type deal and a Lowland Rattata type deal, and regional variants of a first root mammal from another region. There is a lot of Starly in the trailer, so maybe there is no new bird. Unlikely though, but he just says, you know, they will probably do that, and his bet is they're going to do regional variants of Sentret and also Wooloo. But that's that. So, what are you guys' thoughts and opinions on specifically this? We've gone through some of the stuff so far, but there is, of course, loads of stuff that is still worth covering. For example, there is this thingy that was found by Eclipse, which we're going to take a look at right now. So, in the trailer, there is actually this design on one of the shirts or bags or something that looks like a spider web, and Eclipse points something out. Note that this could actually be a Pokemon design and not an unknown symbol. A spider-inspired Pokemon where the web is the body and the small triangle is the face with eyes or whatever, which honestly possibly could be a thing. Now, as to what it would be based on, I don't really know if there's anything particular they could really base this on in terms of mythology, lore, or folklore, but we'll have to wait and see if that does actually pan out. But yeah, what do you guys think about that though? I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions. But there's also one more thing I want to include, which is Eclipse actually trying to still keep the general idea of the, you know, the Chinese zodiacs alive. So he says here, some animals, male and female species, are categorized under certain names, and crocodiles are called cow and bull. Fuecoco is male, so if you really want to stretch the theory of a Chinese zodiac, it must be the ox. But there's no way they thought of this, right? I'm just pointing this out. Now, I'm going to be honest, they're really weird when they design Pokemon, and it could be that they're still trying to somewhat keep it alive, but I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if this actually is the case. But I don't really know, and I want to know your guys' thoughts on this one, though, as well. And finally, I want to talk about something that I noticed myself, which is that this game might be finally us jumping into that theorized future versus past or tradition versus progress concept, which we talked about way back in, you know, pre-Sword and Shield era. And the Voxway actually pointed this out as well, and something you can see in the logos of these games. With Pokemon Scarlet, which uses the colors of essentially what I would say is the current Spanish flag, and the Pokemon Violet one, which uses the Old Republic of Spain flag colors in it, you know, one side is kind of using a font that's like, I think it's called Ortem, and this font in general is more classical and old in the way it looks, whereas the Violet font is more of a techno font. Actually, I think even has techno in its name, the font itself, and is more of a futuristic one. So it could be possible that in this game we're going to see some sort of clash between the future and the past, and also a clash between tradition and progress, right? Some sort of connection between the two. And maybe these whole games like Scarlet and Violet are going to work as sort of a, you know, tradition versus, you know, past or, you know, etc. type of deal against Legends Arceus, which was a game that literally took us back in time, which literally gave us, you know, the past of Pokemon. So I'm wondering if that's going to be the case here. There's going to be some sort of weird connection between it. But I'd love to know guys' thoughts and opinions. And that's going to be it for today, guys. If you did enjoy it, then thank you so much for watching. Make sure to answer the question today, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.